Hi and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following news headlines have been reported by world major English news channels and news agencies. So please watch it.
Tonight we have breaking news. The verdict just in. The case making national headlines. A family dentist who authorities say was secretly and systematically poisoning his wife, lacing her protein shakes with cyanide, the mother of his 6 children. The verdict a short time ago, and you will see the moment in court. Also tonight, the images pouring in, one of the largest earthquakes ever on record. An 8.8, homes shaking. Doctors protecting a cancer patient during surgery, leading to tsunami warnings and alerts from Japan to Hawaii to the west coast of the U.S. And tonight here, what scientists now say we should prepare for. Tonight in New York City, the stunning story now emerging from that deadly rampage on Park Avenue in that high-rise office building. One of the workers who was shot and what he did, crawling through a doorway after being shot and crawling several floors up in that building. What he told his coworkers and friends on that call. Tonight, a disturbing headline: a city councilman intentionally doused with flammable liquid and set on fire. Tonight, with this dangerous heat and the sudden temperature drop soon coming, the Northeast, New York City, now bracing for the potential for dangerous storms and possible flash flooding. So Lee Goldberg is here. He'll time this out. You'll remember the crash over the Potomac. Tonight, new images right here of those final moments. An American Airlines flight and the U.S. Army Black Hawk. And now we learn what the pilots of that passenger plane said in those final moments. Tonight, the children of Gaza, the haunting images of hunger. Ian Panel on the desperate need for food. Back in the U.S., the deadly explosion, and now we learn 2 children were inside that plant along with a worker, all 3 killed. The children were waiting to be taken to a doctor's appointment. The news tonight involving former Vice President Kamala Harris, her big decision revealed. Tonight, swimmers urged to get out of the water with sharks spotted in the Northeast, 2 major beaches. A tearful Sharon Osbourne as thousands of fans line the streets to remember Ozzy Osbourne. And the American couple on vacation in Greece, millions have now seen this. The boyfriend recording what was supposed to be his picture-perfect proposal, but then the other couple walking right into frame. Tonight here, we hear from the newly engaged and why they want to find that other couple. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is a story in 5 words. Men can't name masculine Democrats. So, Congresswoman, according to a new study by a think tank, young men struggle to name any masculine Democrat leaders besides Barack Obama, saying it's the Republican Party that best represent men's interests. Are you surprised by this? Where did the Dems go wrong?
I'm not surprised by this at all. And when I think about it, I think, Fetterman probably comes the closest to this, is the most masculine, but the today's Democrat Party, they have completely oppressed men. They've also completely oppressed women. If you look at the men playing in women's sports, they want to talk about that issue more than anything else, which hurts women, and it also feminizes men. So it's absolutely absurd. It's just another example where they're increasingly out of touch with mainstream Americans. And it's why strong leaders like President Trump will continue to excel. It's why the Republican Party will continue to put forth leaders who show action that are not passive. And this is a real challenge for Democrats as they look at their plummeting poll numbers with male voters.
It's also like the women in the Democrat Party are crazy. I mean, guys are very polite. They don't want to be in a room full of crazy ladies, Kennedy.
I think they're terrified of them.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
the most masculine people you find in the Democrat Party are the women.
Yes.
It's like Elizabeth Warren, Rashida Tlaib,
Yeah.
Amy Klobuchar.
Swalwell.
She's
crazy.
No, I mean, it's wholly unsurprising because this is a party that has demonized men, and they cannot figure out. They have to spend tens of millions of dollars on podcasts, and maybe we should pay people to go to gyms and talk to guys while they're lifting weights and tell them about our great ideas. And it's like, oh yeah, bang up job, heck of a post-mortem. You've really done it this time.
Yes, it's all about acting because they don't know how to be.
No, it's like Cory Booker.
Yes.
Cory Booker, it's just performative.
Yeah.
It's emptiness. There's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
He's the invisible man. I wish he were the invisible man, but he keeps showing up on my screen like blah 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 blah. And then he wants to pick a fight with his fellow female senators.
Yes.
Who would beat the
Yes.
What do you say to this? They've been calling us toxic forever, and now they want us back.
No, they don't want us back. There's probably Bill Clinton was the last alpha male, and saw how that worked out. The reason why men aren't interested in the Democratic Party is very simple. There's no competition. When I'm saying there's no battle, there's no fight. They pick their leaders. They choose. We have to have a woman. Oh, we have to have this. Oh, it's Hillary's turn. Oh, it's this turn. And men, they want to compete. They want the best one. It's a thing. It's part of our DNA. So when there's no dogfight and there's no fight to see, and you have people that come in, maybe you have 10 people, and you're like, well, we don't know who it's going to be, but out of these 10 people, someone's going to fight through, and eventually you're going to have 2, and then you're going to pick them, and then that person is strong because he's been battle tested and has scars and scrapes. That's what men are into. They want someone to be like, I want to be like that guy. He would.
Breaking news this Wednesday night, Canada's intention to recognize Palestine as a state.
Canada will increase its effort in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine.
And the conditions that must be met. Time is running out for Canada to reach a trade deal with the U.S., what this means for interest rates, and whether Canada can escape a recession. One of the strongest earthquakes ever rattles Russia, the far-reaching ripple effects, and what might come next. Mercy for this convicted murderer, how his victim's family feels about the parole board granting him escorted leaves.
He beat her up, and he stabbed her 72 times.
Plus, the asteroid that could crash into the moon.
That is coming in faster than this meeting board.
What it means for us Earthlings, and all the technology we rely on. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with breaking news. The Canadian government has decided on a major policy shift in the Middle East. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada will join France and the UK and other countries in recognizing Palestine as a state at a meeting of the UN General Assembly in September. Late today, Carney said the level of human suffering in Gaza has become intolerable and leaves no room for delay. And he said simply calling for a negotiated two-state solution as part of a peace process, which Canada has supported for years, is no longer tenable.
Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state.
Carney said he spoke with the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas earlier today. And late today, the Israeli Foreign Ministry released a statement saying Israel rejects the statement.
Hey, you, and show your support.
Today, Canada to recognise Palestine as a state, increasing pressure on the Albanese government to follow suit.
I think it's a matter of when, not if, Australia recognises a Palestinian state.
Also ahead, Australia falls further behind on the Closing the Gap targets, with only 4 of 19 on track to be met by 2031. Police shoot a man dead who was attacking his sister in Melbourne's outer east. And thousands of fans line the streets of Birmingham to pay tribute to rock icon Ozzy Osbourne ahead of his funeral. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Catherine Robinson. Those stories in a moment, but first to some breaking news. And a Sydney man who worked with children has been charged with more than a dozen child abuse offences. David James was charged by Australian Federal Police in October and remains in custody, but his identity has been suppressed until now. Last month, the AFP revealed it had sent letters to parents and carers whose children may have had contact with Mr James as part of the ongoing investigation. The 26-year-old worked with children in Sydney's northern suburbs and the CBD, but investigators believed his alleged behaviour involved a very small number of children. He has been charged with more than a dozen offences, including 10 counts of using a child under the age of 14 to make child abuse material and 2 counts of possessing child abuse material. Police are expected to
24 correspondents around the world.
Hello and a very warm welcome to you. You're watching Daybreak here on France 24. These are the headlines. Dozens more people killed while trying to get some food in Gaza. At least 48 Palestinians at one distribution site and at least 7 dying due to a lack of food on Wednesday alone. All the while the bombings continuing there and the international community calling for a return to the idea of a two-state solution, with Canada now the latest to say it will recognise a Palestinian state. A day away from the day Donald Trump promises to impose import tariffs, a flurry of deals being made. India being told it will face extra penalties because it buys Russian weapons, and Brazil slapped with 50% tariffs, an executive order now signed to justify that, saying the ongoing trial of former President Jair Bolsonaro amounts to an economic emergency. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, protests calling on politicians to ensure that the country's anti-corruption agencies stay independent. A new revised law being voted on after a previous one led to outrage, with critics saying it had given too much control to the president. Canada is joining a growing chorus of countries saying it will recognise a Palestinian state. Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Good morning. Airline travel chaos across Britain.
Radar issues caused a nationwide shutdown of airspace, with flights cancelled, delayed and diverted.
Well, the knock-on effect will now be seen for days.
There are calls for the boss of air traffic control to resign as summer holiday getaways fail to take off.
Also this morning, families of hostages kidnapped by Hamas accused Sir Keir Starmer of using them as bargaining chips. It comes as Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says they will recognise a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly.
900 migrants crossed the channel in dangerously overloaded boats yesterday, pushing this year's total past 25,400 people. Authorities warn of growing risks as dinghies carry up to 95 people each.
5 Conservative politicians, including the former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, have written a letter to Yvette Cooper asking for an urgent meeting to discuss the use of hotels housing asylum seekers.
And as a rising number of celebrities are now flaunting body art, we're asking, are tattoos taboo?
Good morning. England embark on the decisive 5th test against India at the Oval without captain Ben Stokes, who misses out with a muscle tear, and there are doubts voiced in a documentary over the managerial work ethic of Wayne Rooney by his former boss, the NFL legend Tom Brady.
Watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly across the southern parts through today. Stay tuned for more details.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is TV News Breakfast.
Good morning. At 6 o'clock on Breakfast today, we hear from a mother whose son died after being sent home from hospital due to a lack of beds.
Plus, a warning on Sir Keir Starmer's plan to recognise a Palestinian state from a group of influential peers.
It's Thursday the 31st of July. Your headlines. The family of a 5-year-old boy who died of sepsis after being sent home from hospital says a new report has brought them no closure.
I knew that something's not right. Before they even escalated it to the ICU, I knew Yusuf was very, very, very poorly.
Canada's Prime Minister says his country will join the UK and France in recognising a Palestinian state as Israel claims it harms ceasefire talks. The island preparing for invasion, Taiwan's Deputy Foreign Minister tells Sky News that they cannot be naive about the threat from China. Civil liberties groups voice concern over plans by Britain's biggest police force to double its use of live facial recognition. So far so good, Rangers move a step closer to qualifying for the Champions League. Very good morning to you. Our top story in just a moment, but first just wanted to bring you...
Dive in and get inspired.
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. Donald Trump says he will impose 25% tariffs on all goods imported from India. The US president also threatened Delhi with an additional unspecified penalty for buying energy and arms from Russia. The measures are due to come into effect on Friday alongside tariffs on many other countries. tsunami warnings across the Pacific are easing after one of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded. Magnitude 8.8 earthquake off Russia's far east caused waters to surge inland on its Kuril Islands. In Japan, 2 million people were evacuated. Authorities also ordered evacuations in coastal areas of several other countries, including Chile and Peru. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney says the country intends to recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. Carney said the policy shift was necessary to preserve hopes of a two-state solution. Canada is the third G7 nation after France and the UK to make such an announcement. This is DW News from Berlin. You'll find more on our website at dw.com.
This is Asia Now.
Good afternoon. It's 4 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Ilakia Silveraji. Your headlines this hour. Well, the U.S. strikes a trade deal with South Korea, lowering tariffs to 15% from the 25% threatened earlier. American goods will not face any duties from Seoul. Myanmar's military enacts a new law dictating prison sentences for critics or protesters of the planned election, and those convicted face years in prison and potentially the death penalty. And fears of devastating waves hitting shores appearing to subside. Tsunami alerts are being downgraded in several countries following a powerful 8.8 magnitude quake.
Africa News. The news.
The government of Angola announced that the number of fatalities from violent protests against the fuel price increase had climbed to 22 on Wednesday, up from the previous day's count of 4. The unrest began on Monday when minibus taxi associations initiated a 3-day strike in response to the government's decision to rise diesel prices by 1/3, part of a strategy to reduce expensive subsidies and strengthen public finances. Violence, looting, and confrontations with police erupted in the capital, Rwanda, and subsequently spread to other provinces. A statement from the presidency also reported 197 injuries and 1,214 arrests, while 66 shops and 25 vehicles were vandalized. Additionally, some supermarkets and warehouses were looted, according to the statement.
Ugandan opposition leader Bobi Wine says the political climate in the country is declining in the run-up to next year's presidential election. Wine, a singer-turned-lawmaker, is President Yoweri Museveni's main rival. It's a dangerous role to have, Wine says.
The situation has gone from bad to worse in all aspects. Of course, the threats on my life have become even more. We've seen increased abductions, increased arrests, even increased murders. For example, I have a brother in Karamoja that was shot with more than 150 bullets. All this is meant to send fear down the nerves of all those that work with me and all those that stand for what I stand for. But also our resistance has increased. We've had an increased membership, we've had increased speaking out, and our resolve has become firmer.
Wine, who describes himself as a ghetto president, has a strong following among working-class urbanites. Despite his doubts about the electoral process, he says it's vital his supporters turn out to vote in January.
Museveni will not be removed by the vote alone. Many other things have to be added. But the legitimacy has to be owned, because even if we picked up guns and kick Museveni out, we will be just another group of violent people. We will not have the legitimacy. We must get the legitimacy from the people. We must have people make a choice. Which choice they will fight for is subverted. I would not discourage people from going to the polls, because in any case, you've seen so many leaders claiming that they don't believe in elections, but when it's election time, they're the first to register, they're the first to nominate.
Wine's resolve is firm, but he set himself a difficult task. Museveni has ruled Uganda since 1986. The country hasn't had a peaceful transfer of power since independence in 1962.
London-listed Endeavour Mining has announced, along with 2 other gold producers, their agreement to transition to Mali's new mining code, according to government officials. This code, which increases taxes and aims to transfer significant ownership of mining assets to the state, has led to intense conflicts within mining companies since its implementation in August 2023, contributing to a 23% decline in Mali's gold production last year, totaling 51 metric tons. On state television late Monday, Finance Minister Aluseni Sanu and the Minister of Mines revealed a new memorandum of understanding with Somika SA, an entity that is 80% owned by Endeavour and 20% by Malian government, along with Fabula Gold and Bagama Mining. The specifics of the agreement were not made public. As among Africa's leading gold producers, regulatory uncertainties have regularly impacted both investment and production.
One of two new bombs developed by Turkey as it positions itself as a major defense exporter. Unveiled at the 17th International Defense Industry Fair in Istanbul earlier this week, the conventional aircraft bomb has a warhead weighing 970 kilograms. Officials say Gazap or ROF is a thermobaric weapon, sometimes referred to as a vacuum bomb. It uses oxygen mixed with fuel to create a high-temperature explosion. A second charge ignites after the initial detonation, making the weapon much more destructive than other non-nuclear bombs of a similar size, with a blast radius of a kilometer. It's been described by state-linked media as the NATO country's most powerful air-launched conventional weapon. The other bomb, known as the Hayalet or Ghost, is a bunker buster capable of penetrating up to 7 meters of reinforced concrete. It can also be dropped from a US F-16 fighter jet. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has plans to strengthen the country's deterrence capabilities.
Africa now has its own voice. This is Africa News, the only international news channel made for Africa. An independent voice, bringing you unbiased reporting and all the voices shaping the future of the continent. Find out what Africa has to say. Africa News, your voice.
And good evening. We begin tonight with one of the largest earthquakes ever recorded, triggering tsunami fears across the Pacific. The 8.8 magnitude quake striking Russia last night, video showing people scrambling to safety as buildings crumble. And scary moments in this operating room. Take a look. Doctors seen shaking mid-surgery. Panic sea lions diving into the seawater there as the cliffside topples above them. Here's a look at where that earthquake hit off the coast of Russia, triggering tsunami alerts in Japan, South America, and the U.S. The warning leaving some tourists stranded in Hawaii. Cars on the roads of Honolulu bumper to bumper. Hawaii just issuing an all clear, but many coastal cities remain on edge. We want to get to NBC's Liz Croy, who leads us off from Hawaii tonight.
Tsunami alerts issued as far away as South America. After that massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake, one of the largest ever recorded, struck off Russia's Pacific coast, sending people rushing out of crumbling buildings. Portions of the ceiling collapsing on travelers at an airport. Doctors here seen mid-surgery, desperately trying to stabilize a patient. Tremors shattering this Russian kindergarten building, the entire wall falling away.
Investigators provide a new and chilling view of that mid-air collision over Washington.
The lessons learned and the changes to come.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois.
Exactly 6 months ago, we started this broadcast at the scene of the nation's deadliest plane crash since November of 2001.
Today, the National Transportation Safety Board began a 3-day investigative hearing looking into what led an Army Black Hawk helicopter to collide in midair with an American Eagle jet near Reagan National Airport. There were no survivors.
Family members watched and listened to testimony about a crucial but glitchy gauge aboard the Army helicopter and broken communication with air traffic controllers.
Our senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has been covering the crash since it happened, and he leads us off tonight. Chris, what have we learned?
Good evening, I'm Jeff Bennett.
And I'm Amna Navaz. On the News Hour tonight, a massive earthquake off Russia's coast triggers tsunami warnings across the Pacific Rim.
The economy grows more than expected, despite continuing concern over President Trump's trade wars.
And a look at pronatalism, the growing movement encouraging families to have more children.
This idea that this is women's job and the reason that birth rates are low is because women are not doing their job is really dangerous.
PercyNow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Hospitals in Gaza are reporting 7 new deaths due to famine and malnutrition as Israel continues its starvation campaign against the Palestinian territory. Gaza's hunger-related death toll is now at 154, with at least 89 children among the dead. Palestinian officials say Israel allowed just 109 aid trucks to cross into the Gaza Strip on Tuesday, with most of them looted amidst escalating security chaos. The UN says 500 to 600 truckloads of aid are needed each day to meet the basic needs of Gaza's more than 2 million residents. On Tuesday, displaced Palestinian mother Jahan Al-Qaran was forced to collect scattered pasta from the dirt for her 7 children to eat after she returned from a soup kitchen in Nuseirat Tuesday empty-handed.
We're in a great famine. I'm in a famine now. I'm in a famine because the meal they give is insufficient for me at all. I only have this meal for an entire day until the following day when I come back to look for soup kitchen to get food for my children. I only have this meal. Look at me. I have malnutrition from the lack of food. I feel dizzy when I walk.
Meanwhile, Israeli forces are continuing deadly attacks on Palestinians, with at least 21 people killed since dawn, 13 of them while seeking aid. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced Tuesday the UK will recognize a Palestinian state in September unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire.
So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution.
Some British
Thank you
activists
for
and
watching
politicians.
Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.